Hey YouTube! Before I even get started, okay, let me tell y'all I am prepared this week. I promise you, okay? Last week I did a review on Iyanla Fix My Life. And clearly I needed to fix my life over this last week because y'all killed me in the comments last week because I lacked detail, okay? I was just trying to give a quick overview, but apparently, y'all want a full review, and I am here for it. That is what I do. I will not cheat you. I will give you all the details. So I am prepared this week. So if this is your first time watching my channel, please click that subscribe button. If you're a returning subscriber, thank you so much for your support. But I am here today to give you my take on Iyanla Fix My Life. This is still a continuation of the Mitchell Brothers story. This is season 6, episode 5, and it is titled Crack Addiction, Abandonment, 7 Broken Brothers, Part 3. Okay, so of course, at the beginning of every episode, they give us a little like history from the last episode so that we can remember certain key things that will prepare us for this episode. So, to get my facts straight, okay, the Mitchell brothers were all of them were born of two drug addicted parents. So it's not just the mother that's addicted, but the father as well. One of the brothers is deceased. It was in 2013. His name was Miguel. All of the boys have M names. The other brother is incarcerated, and his name was Monte, and he's incarcerated for 75 years. Craziness. Okay. Now we start where we left off with LaRonda and Kizzy. So LaRonda is the mother. She's 58, and Kizzy is the oldest of the 8 children. Okay. Kizzy, her father is not Michael Sr. Okay. Her mother had her before she had the boys. So she's 38. She actually looks a lot like her mother. She's a very pretty girl, but she's having a hard time just with this communication thing with her mother, and then specifically with her brother Marcus, which he is kind of like the representative for all of the brothers when it comes to communicating with her. Okay, so anyways, it starts off with a kind of a disagreement between LaRonda and Kizzy. So LaRonda, she is a person where she already has like a harsh voice. She's very aggressive in her tone, and I'm not sure if she's meaning to sound as though she's attacking the person she's speaking to, or if that's just the regular way that she speaks, but she is a very like cut and dry person. So she's basically like speaking to her daughter, and she's like, let me tell you about my mother and the way that my mother did me. Okay, you told me that my mother said that I abandoned you. Did you say that? Is that right? So then Iyanla butts in and was like, hey, like, well, you did abandon her. Okay, where are you getting with this? Because your tone is a little hostile. So the mother, and like I said, that's the way that she speaks. But basically the mother is getting to the point of, well, I had a drug problem, like I didn't, like those weren't my intentions to purposely abandon you. In Kizzy's mind, she felt like, okay, but you should have came back for me, like after you were beyond your sickness, after you got off of drugs, you should have came back and come and got me, like you had time and you didn't. So in that regard, I still feel like you abandoned me. Iyanla basically says like there is no explanation. So some parents, especially if they feel like guilt or shame, or they were going through something that their kids may not have understood, they automatically want to give some type of explanation. And what they don't understand is that the kids don't see it from that explanation. They see it from, I was a helpless child. You birthed me into this world. You should have came back for me. You shouldn't have just left me hanging, whether you left me with a family member or not. Okay, so then Iyanla tells LaRonda to tell Kizzy, her daughter, to forgive her. So at first, LaRonda says, would you forgive me? That is the common, phrase that most parents would say, like ask their kids. And then Iyanla tells her, no, like you need to tell her to forgive you. Like that's the only way you're going to move on. If you ask her to forgive you, like she's probably not going to automatically do that. You guys are going to have to get past this at some point. Okay, so Kizzy, of course, is emotional at this point. She doesn't know if she can, which is totally understandable. And at this point, they haven't really broken the ice yet. Okay. So, Iyanla then tells Kizzy to come to her and not come to her, to come to her mother. And at that point, she has her mother hold her like she's a child. And Kizzy starts to cry and everything. And her mother is like patting her back. And basically, like, that is exactly what Kizzy wants. She wishes she could go back to that moment when she was 13 years old, when her mother left her, and she could just like curl up on her lap and her mother can be there for her, because that's what she was yearning for. Although this may not be 100% real in this moment, that's what she wants, rather than the arguing and fighting and bickering back and forth. um so basically, Iyanla says that Kizzy is still stuck at a 13-year-old's age emotionally. Okay. So then basically, LaRonda may not have the capacity to love Kizzy in the way that she wants to be loved by her mother in this moment. Okay. Um, Kizzy, and then she also admits she doesn't think that her mother loves her or likes her. Okay, so then we get to Marcus. Marcus and Kizzy have tension between them, obviously. He is jealous of her because of her upbringing. Although he understands that she wasn't with her mother, and she understands that the boys weren't with their mother. Marcus is still jealous of her because he feels like she had a better upbringing. At least she was with a family member. At least she was being taken care of. The boys, two of them were together in a foster home, but the rest of them were like spread out, and they were just like mistreated and abused and all these things, and they just felt lost. Meanwhile, Kizzy at least was with a family member. Well, Kizzy was like, look, you don't know my story, okay? You are assuming a lot of things. And just because the grass looks or appears to be greener on the other side, in my position, it wasn't. Like, my grandmother was there for me, but she wasn't like loving and, that like motherly figure like I would have wanted. Like, actually, Kizzy didn't want a motherly figure. She wanted her mother. But her grandmother would simply just block out all of the emotional things, and she would just shower her with material things. If Kizzy were to ask about her mother or her brothers, her grandma would just be like, don't worry about it. We're not going to talk about that. But hey, here's something. Maybe we can go shopping. Maybe I can give you this, to try to take her mind off of it. And most people understand at some point in life, material things, they devalue. Okay, love is just worth so much to a child, an adult, anyone. So material things can be replaced, but the love of a mother, you'll go a whole lifetime trying to replace that, especially when you want love from your actual mother and not a mother figure. Okay, so that is the position that Kizzy is in. Iyanla is basically telling them, like, you guys are arguing and bickering back and forth, and basically Marcus thinks that Kizzy is the oldest, so she should have reached out to them. Once you contact one of them, that one brother knows how to get in touch with all the rest of them. But then Kizzy feels like, okay, well, the brothers could have did their part. Like, she feels like she did as much as she could. They don't know her story. Like, her grandmother, like, they didn't have long distance. She couldn't just pick up the phone and go and call her brother. She didn't even know like their address, like where they were, anything, because her grandmother didn't discuss those things with her. So they're arguing back and forth, and I don't understand why it's an argument, because I feel like at that moment they weren't trying to understand each other or to sympathize with each other. Basically, it was like, I have my story, and this is a story that I've stuck with for years, and I'm mad about it, so you're going to hear what I have to say. And it was the same thing on the other end. Rather than listening to understand and meet somewhere in the middle and fill in those holes and those gaps, or those misunderstandings or inconsistencies. But basically, they both have different perspectives on what could have happened, what should have happened, what did happen, and what didn't happen. It doesn't mean that either one of them are wrong. That is the point that Iyanla was getting to. They have different perspectives, but that doesn't mean that either one of them are wrong. They just see things differently, and it's good to try to see things from another person's perspective so you can understand where they're coming from at least. Doesn't mean you're wrong, doesn't mean they're right, or vice versa, but just to understand each other. So then Marcus, he apologizes. He says there's so much tension between them when they see each other. And, he really doesn't want it to be that way. And he just really does love his sister. And he gives her a hug and she starts breaking down and crying. So, I think a lot of them feel like hurt or like rejection in some type of way, but like it just takes that one moment to break the ice and for them to be able to like embrace each other, and to try to move past that. Okay, but anyways, so then we have Michael Jr. Okay, Michael Jr. is the oldest of the seven boys. He is the child with the developmental issues. So Michael Jr. is sitting with Iyanla and his mother. Okay, Iyanla tells LaRonda that it is her job to listen without explanation or stories. Okay, so she can understand like what emotional state of being and what mindset her children are in as grown men at this moment. So basically, Michael Jr. explains to his mom that he feels like, she doesn't love him. She doesn't like him. She's stolen from him. She's just like done him wrong. Basically, he feels like she wishes that he was never born. And even when he was taken from her, like he was crying because he wanted to be with her. He was crying for her. So there was a lot of times where he's felt invisible, like he stated last episode, and he wanted to kill himself because he just felt so unloved. He was abused, he was molested, and all that time he's wondering, where were you? Like, you're out here doing drugs and smoking and having fun and living your life, and I'm sitting up here still wondering, where is my mother? So he then, Iyanla says that Michael Jr. was in a psychiatric ward at one point, and his mother didn't come and visit him. And at that point, she asks, why didn't she come and visit him? So the mother then is able to give an explanation at this point. She says that she wasn't allowed to come and visit him. And Iyanla says, oh, because you had a drug problem. She said, no, they just wouldn't let me because me and Michael Sr., we lost our rights to our kids, so they wouldn't let me come and visit him in the psychiatric ward. And she's like, Iyanla says, right, but you lost your rights because you were on drugs. You need to learn how to sit in that, how to accept that. Like, stop talking around it in circles. And I think that's where that guilt and that shame comes from. That's the part of the past that she wants to like block. Like, it's an obvious like pink elephant in the room, but at some point she wants to block it. Like, oh, let's not keep bringing that up. But that is the reason why you weren't able to be there for your kids in millions of different situations when they were children. So basically, Iyanla is telling her, like, live in that, accept that. If y'all see something moving in the background, that's my kid. Okay. So at that point, LaRonda, okay, let's get to Iyanla. Iyanla says that he needs your heart, not your words. Okay. Her words basically mean nothing to her kids at that point, at this point. So Iyanla wants LaRonda to tell Michael Jr. How she feels when she looks at him. So in this moment, she has to be like vulnerable. Now, she doesn't look vulnerable. Honestly, throughout this entire episode, the mother never looked remorseful, in my opinion, when it came to her sons. When it came to her daughters, she didn't have to be prompted to say anything. She would automatically speak up and want to say something to her daughter. But as you know from last episode, she said she wants a relationship with her daughter. She feels like that's the only daughter she has. They should have some type of bond. So I could definitely see that in this episode because she had to be prompted by Iyanla to say things to her son. So that just kind of rubbed me the wrong way. But and her facial expressions were so blank. She didn't You didn't really draw any emotion out of her when she was speaking to her sons. Okay, but anyways, she does tell Michael Jr. that she feels sorry, she feels bad, she feels hurt as well, and she wants forgiveness from him for being on drugs, for leaving him, and for not being the mother that she should have been. And at that point, Michael Jr., he forgives her. Because all in all, her kids want to forgive her. They wouldn't be there if they didn't want to forgive her. Okay. So then we get to day three. Day three, this is the final day. We have a few one-on-one or small group sessions before the entire group comes together for the graduation. So this starts off with Iyanla, Kizzy, and the mom, LaRonda. So Iyanla asks Kizzy, "Where are you at in your relationship with your mother?" Um, and Kizzy like basically says like, there is no relationship. And then so Iyanla asked her, what would a mother-daughter relationship look like for Kizzy as a grown woman? And then so Kizzy says, like, I want to be able to call her, tell her about my day, tell her what's going on in my life with my children, or if I'm frustrated, I want to be able to go pick her up so we can go get our nails done, or we can go out to eat, just like a normal, healthy, functioning mother-daughter relationship. That's what she wants. And then, of course, LaRonda responds and says, I want the same thing, and I want you to be able to call me. And, maybe I'm going through something and I can speak to you. I want us to have that relationship as well. And then, basically, Iyanla shuts it all down and was like, is that what you want? You're not going to get it. And then at that point, this is not funny, but LaRonda kind of looks at her like, girl, like you could tell the entire episode, LaRonda wanted to say something to Iyanla, but it would have just been shut down. So she just didn't go there. But basically, Iyanla tells Kizzy like she can't give that to you because she doesn't have the capacity to give that to you. It sounds like a perfect world. It sounds great, but it's not going to happen. She can't love you like you want to be loved as the 13-year-old that longed for that love. All she can do is love you on her level. She can give you who she is now. And you can accept that, and you guys can learn to have a relationship as two grown adult women, um, and get to know each other in that capacity. But if you're longing for that love and that absolute normalcy, as if she was there your whole life from 13 and up, if you want to start back from there, that's not going to be possible. At this point, Kizzy breaks down. She starts crying, and I guess it's coming to the realization that that's not going to happen. This mommy is not there anymore, but LaRonda is, and she has to get to know her and accept her for who she is at 58 years old, and her as a 38-year-old, and be able to build a relationship from there. And whatever this new mother-daughter relationship would be, that's what it will naturally form into. Kizzy basically says, after she breaks down at the thought of that, she says, she just wants to stop hurting. Kizzy wanted to get some things off her chest to tell her mother. So she basically says, like, I know you were on drugs, but what I really wanted from you, I wanted you to come back and get me. Like, as a child, like, I didn't care if you were on drugs. I felt like you should have came and got me, even if you were on drugs. Just take me with you. And of course, from the outside looking in, we're all thinking, a child shouldn't be with any adult, parent or not, that's just like out there and on drugs. That's not safe for a child. But as a child isn't thinking of all of that. A 13-year-old is thinking, I want my mother. Whatever you're doing, I don't care. I love you. I accept you. You can take me with you. Let's just be together. Of course, then Iyanla steps in and says, perhaps it was the universe protecting you from, what was out there. Because it's already hard enough, like being a woman in this world, and then a woman on drugs carrying around a little girl with you. That would not have been good for you. And we all know, obviously, being outside looking in, that wouldn't have been beneficial for her in any type of way. But those were her true vulnerable feelings. She wanted her mother. But of course, you can't change the past, and everything happens for a reason. So then, uh, Kizzy, her request from her mother is that they at least talk every single day. So try to build some type of relationship. And LaRonda's request from Kizzy is that Kizzy talks to her with respect. So Iyanla tells her, okay, you need to tell her when you feel like you're being disrespected. So you can say things like, hey, I feel like what you just said to me or the way you just spoke to me was disrespectful. And that's an adult way of doing so rather than being like, I'm your mother, don't disrespect me, because she doesn't necessarily automatically respect her mother in that way because her mother damaged her and hurt her. Okay. So, Iyanla basically, she tells Kizzy that she's going to hook her up with a coach for the next couple of weeks to move forward with this process of trying to build this relationship with her mother. Okay. So then this short part but good part, we have Iyanla and both parents together, Michael Sr. and LaRonda. She tells them basically offer your kids who you are now, not who they want you to be. Okay, so then Iyanla calls Michael Jr. into the room to address some issues that he's having in front of both of his parents. Okay, so this is when we get to Denzel 101. Now, y'all, I know this is probably not the type of show that like you should laugh when you watch it, but I'm not gonna lie, like I had to pause my TV. Iyanla pulls out like an iPad or some type of tablet and plays a video that she found of Michael Jr. online because he referenced Denzel 101. So she wanted to know, what is Denzel 101? She clicks play on this video. Y'all, Michael Jr. is like air humping the ground, and he was like, for my ladies, like, yeah, it was hilarious. Like, and he is like doing like sexual gestures like to the air and stuff, but like in a funny manner. Yeah, it was just like hilarious to me because the crying male that I saw sitting on the couch for the last two episodes, I would have never imagined him doing that on social media. So he has this over the internet. So she said, like, the father just looks like, oh God, like, what is my son doing? And then Iyanla is saying, like, what is this? Okay, explain this to me. He was like, well, it's just like funny. Like, it's my comedy, like, like my like freaky funny comedy. And she's like, no, this is unacceptable. You have a daughter, you have an 8-year-old daughter, do you want your daughter to see this? He's like, no, of course not. And then she's like, you need to grow up, okay? What this looks like to me, this doesn't look like comedy. This looks like somebody who was abandoned and feels left out and neglected, and they want any type of attention, because to somebody in that situation, any attention is good attention to them. This is what you need to stop doing, because you're a man and you want to be respected as a man. So you need to act like a man. Okay. So basically it's like that Bible verse. Like, when I was a child, I thought like a child, but when I became a man, I threw away childish things. So you need to grow up and throw away these childish things so that you can be looked at and respected as a man, as the oldest brother at that. Those types of things are unacceptable. He was like dancing in a trash bag. It was crazy. Okay, so like, it was just ludicrous to me because I didn't expect to see that on the screen. But anyway, she asked Michael Jr., like, what do you want? Michael Jr. says, I want my daughter back. So that let me know he has an 8-year-old daughter, but he doesn't necessarily have custody of her. So he wants his daughter back, he wants a job, and he wants a woman. Okay, so all those things are acceptable. You're not going to get a woman posting these types of things online. Duh, of course. Like, I don't know like what type of woman he was going for. You're not going to get a respectable woman, but hey, we didn't ask him what type of woman he wants, but whatever. Okay, so she basically tells him, don't shame yourself, don't shame your family. You need to cut this out now. That was the past. We're moving forward. Okay, cool. So now we get to the graduation ceremony, like the grand finale of this entire part 3 episode. And we have the men in black walk into the room. So all of the brothers, there are 5 of them, all of the brothers are dressed up like in, black suits, black ties, white shirts, literally look like the men in black. Like all they're missing is that little laser thing to like clear everybody's memory, okay? So they all walk in like oldest to youngest, and they sit down on the couch in their placing of their ages. Okay. So they look very good. Like their dad is emotional at this point because he's proud. He's probably never seen them all together like this, all dressed up, like looking just extremely nice and presentable. Like, man, like these are all my sons. Like, this is amazing. And they had never seen themselves together as a unit like that, dressed in this manner and, with this certain like stature about them, or even confidence in their brotherhood at this point. So they all look and they feel good. Okay. So the purpose of this graduation ceremony is for all of them to make a statement to their parents, and it's going to go from youngest to oldest, so that they're all on the same page, leaving out of this. I would call it a camp in a sense, because it was 3 days of like really drilling down into getting down to the bottom of their emotions and beginning to move past it with themselves and with their parents. Okay, so we start with Melvin. Yeah, I got facts today. I got names and I have ages, okay? So Melvin is 28. He is the youngest brother. He basically gives his statement to say that he has forgiven his father. He's not over it, but he's willing to take the resources they've learned to move forward and to make an effort. He does sincerely apologize to his mother for disrespecting her. And he says, he said those things, but he didn't mean them. He's really sorry. Okay, and you can tell because he's emotional when he says it. Okay, so then we have Marvin, 29. Marvin is the brother that actually wrote to Iyanla for help. Iyanla for help. So Marvin basically, he wants to be able to trust his mother. He doesn't want the broken promises or anything. He basically wants her to give him her word and to stick to it. Then he even goes a step further to say that he's chased after men his entire life. He's not going to chase after his father. So he needs this to be a two-way relationship. He needs his father to try to get in contact with him and to call him as well, so that, the effort can be reciprocated. Okay. So then we have Mikhail, or yeah, Mikhail. Okay, he is 30. He is the peacemaker of the family. He basically says that he has forgiven his father for the past, because it not only makes him feel better, but he feels like it's the right thing to do. Moving forward, he just wants his father to have a relationship with his children moving forward, or to work towards having a relationship with them. So that's another fact. He has children as well. Okay, so then we have Marcus. They didn't even give any details under, like, when Marcus was talking, as far as his name, age, and what role he plays, because we all know he plays the role of the big brother, although he's not the big brother, but he's spoken the most out of all the brothers in this show. But basically, he wants his mother to be patient with him, because he really is trying. He is definitely more emotional than some of the other brothers, and I think he's realizing that in this experience. Although he's so hard and so bad about it, he's like has a lot of bottled up emotions, and he doesn't know how to express those emotions. But he wants his mother to be patient with him through this time. He's trying to get better. He does love his father. He says, his brother Mikhail is his right hand and his father is his left hand, and he needs his father, and he wants him to be in his life, and he loves him. He just doesn't know how to express his feelings to him, and that's why they butt heads. At this point, the dad gets up and gives him a big hug, and like, it's a tearful moment. Okay, so then we have Michael Jr., and he basically says that he wants his father's love and attention. And at first he was saying, I just want a little bit of attention. And then Iyanla said, don't discount yourself like that. You can have all his love and attention. And although he has to spread it out amongst all of his sons, at least when he is with Michael and everything is focused on Michael Jr., all his love and attention can go towards him. So the dad is emotional. He basically says, his sons don't realize how much he really loves them. And that is when Marvin steps in and says, at this point, like, you guys, like, you had us. You couldn't choose us. Like, you had us when we were born. And now regardless of what's happened in life, we're here because we are choosing you in this moment. We love you as well. We're choosing you. We want to work towards this. So that was a great thing for their entire relationship. Kizzy's last words to them was basically like she wants them all to be better siblings, to be accountable, to check on each other. She's going to do her part as the oldest, and especially since a lot of them have children, she wants their children to be able to have a relationship with each other as well. Okay, so they all get their little graduation certificates. So just to go through it really quick, Melvin, I'm going from youngest to oldest. Melvin got a master's in problem solving. Marvin has a master's of perseverance. Mikhail has a master's of leadership. Marcus has a master's of negotiation and passion. And Michael has a master's of team playing. So, of course, they give us a little snippet, an update of what's happened after the show. All the brothers have been working on bettering their relationship along with Kizzy. The brothers talk more often. They all have an improved relationship with their father. Of course, it's a work in progress. The mother really hasn't put forth much effort. She still seems distant since the show has been over. She's actually only spoken to Kizzy twice since they stopped filming, although she claims that she plans to move in with Kizzy. So, the vibe that I was getting from the mother was just real nonchalant, like, I'm just here so I don't get fined. I was not shocked by her update afterwards, but I was happy that the boys were able to form more of a bond with one another. At least they've reunited with their sister, and their relationship with their father is improving. So I was really happy about that. I thought it was a good ending, and of course the real work starts after they stop filming. So I don't know them personally, but I really do hope that their relationships are moving forward, and they're going to have tough times. But, this is a self-help show, and it's helped me. And if they could just, like, Iyanla said something in the episode, like, there needs to be a shift. Like, you need to let some of this stuff go. Like, somebody's going to have to choose to, like, move differently so that you're not going through the same emotions over and over. Change the battery. So I really hope they've changed the battery. Of course, it's much easier said than done, and that's good advice that we all could use. I know there are situations where I'm going to have to tell myself, just change the battery, okay? What's the end goal that you're looking for? Now, what are you going to do to help move towards that goal? So, all in all, great episode. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. As always, if you made it this far and you're not a subscriber, you may as well subscribe. Like, comment below, tell me your thoughts, give me your feedback. I do read them, and definitely try to improve if there needs to be room for improvement. But thank you so much for you guys' support, and check me out on my next video. Bye.